Okay, today I'm going to try doing something very difficult I've not been very good at in the past at doing. That is talking to myself in a camera. Well, not really to myself. I like to think this is talking to me in the future because the things we say now can be listened to for generations to come, but things in the future we cannot listen to and can't until we get there. But until then, this is a message to the future. Charting of the mind to think. This is something I find to be really fascinating, is that we can think all of these thoughts. If you've ever read the book 1984, they have a concept called newspeak, where they're inventing new language. And the act of inventing new language is eliminating old language. And for example, let's say the government. We don't like the government, and we have the words to express that we don't like the government. But let's say we eradicate that from the language, from the words we're capable of thinking. If you never learned the word hate, you can't think the word hate. You can feel it, but by limiting the ability to vocalize it, you can't communicate that idea. And if you don't have that word in your head, it's difficult to address that feeling. We have emotions and we have words and feelings for them. Like right now, I feel tired, but I also feel invigorated and curious. But I have the words to describe those feelings. I can still experience the feelings, but if I can't sort them into a digestible format of information, it's quite difficult for me, and frankly really humans is the way we function, to understand that. Self-awareness, it takes away the consciousness of that, because if I said I'm feeling tired, I've addressed it, and now I can understand and comprehend what I should do to either counteract the tiredness or to embrace it. Maybe I should go to bed. But if I haven't had the language to describe that, my conscious ability to act on that goes away. It would be almost primordial, like I'm a animal and I'm tired, but I don't have the word to describe it. So I'm probably just going to go to sleep because that's the natural cycle of things. But we are lucky enough to have language to help us understand, comprehend, and communicate to not just others, but to ourselves, so we know what to do. For example, if we don't have a different color for green and blue, you're just going to it will almost feel like they're shades of each other. But because we have a separate word for blue and green, they're two different things. In a book called The Odyssey by Odysseus, I might be getting that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got that right. They called the oceans green, and it's because at the time and in their language, they didn't have a word to describe the color blue. And so they described it as a shade of green. And that brings me back to stories, is that we have different ways of communicating these concepts. And so one thing I was thinking about earlier, I was lucky enough to have a conversation with a good friend, got pretty deep, and we're talking about the idea of different religions in different parts of the world and why they evolved in the ways they did. And it was kind of a debate of whether they're meant to be different ones. Because where I am in Utah, it's like there's a prevalent religion of Mormonism, and that's like the story the culture has embraced in the way that people live their lives through this story and this religion. But we go to like Japan, the story is very different religions, different understandings. And so it could be because the people in different places, languages diverge, and so the way feelings and thoughts are communicated and also communicated to the self and the conscious, addressed and acted on, is that maybe certain languages, because of the omitting of certain words or inability to address feeling, so in different cultures that would cause different maybe beliefs to evolve over a long period of time to be obviously quite different. But okay, I've been reading this new book. It's called The Anxious Generation. And it's been fascinating to me because it's explaining all the detrimental effects of having kids on smartphones, and let alone like people in general. Kids, it's very bad. And I was thinking back to when I was in kindergarten. This was like 2009. This is like Obama just got elected. The economy's crashing. And some kid pulls up to school. This is kindergarten, first round. I went to kindergarten twice. It's a fun story. But first round of kindergarten. This kid pulls up with an iPhone 3G. So this is a new fancy thing. Most kindergartners don't even know what it is. We think it's just like, oh, it's the little tablet thing. It's fancy. It's special. And they're very expensive. And you shouldn't be taking them to kindergarten, of all places. It's an absurdity. And I remember the teacher yelling at the kid, telling them, there's no way you're supposed to bring that. Keep that in your backpack at all costs, because if you damage it, you're screwed. That's like a $500 phone. And this kid's saying, oh, it's our family phone. I was supposed to take it. All these things. But that evolved from one individual kid having a phone and it being like it all mess and stuff. It's like, it became the standard. Like around the time I was in sixth grade, this is around 2017, there was like half the kids in the class had phones, and I did not have a phone, but the kids were sending Snapchats and stuff, videos, and very much I was pulled out of the social circle. I remember in first grade, I could be very popular, have lots of friends, play soccer, and communicate on the same level as everybody else, integrated as the same level as everybody else. But in sixth grade, I was no longer in the circles anymore because I was ostracized, not being able to be in that circle, little Snapchat circle, because the lack of having a phone. And moving on in history, this is a part where I've become very jealous. I gotta just play one of the videos. I'll throw it up. This is like 1984, I think, and it's a guy with a camcorder. A camcorder being rare at the time, so like we were excited to see a camera, but a camera was a novelty, and two, you can see the way the high school interacted with each other. Nobody is sitting by themselves on a phone, or they don't have their AirPods, and you could say hi to anybody and they will say hi back, and you can have an engaging conversation. And imagine that every single day you go to school, and it is maybe a bit chaotic because lots of people are communicating, but the act of being a human is a fun game of communication. It's bounce ideas back and forth because maybe something better will come out of it, a better state of life, a better direction in life, but it's all based around an idea. And so just having those ideas flow back and forth, it evolves, the idea becomes better, stronger, faster. We don't have that anymore. I just graduated high school about a year ago, and I am still definitely jealous of this 1984 film video of what it could have been, what high school, or just really any social environment where you have to be there. You have a purpose of being there, but you're not neglecting the people and the environment, the community built around you. Another thing that reiterates me being disappointed in my high school experience because of just the presence of phones and people not being present. It's so sad because I had a positive experience. It was about like 2 hours ago. I was at the Salt Lake airport. I was on a bus and I was like doing my thing. I was talking to one of my friends about bioavailability of spinach and why you need to like warm up the spinach to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time because you're going to get more nutrients out of it, and that's like way better for you than if you're going to like, burn the spinach or just have frozen spinach. And I was just saying all this stuff out loud, and the guy, like the security guard and like some dude next to me, this was pretty late, so people like were kind of like sleepy, tired. They weren't all on their phones. They didn't have AirPods in, and I'm just like having a conversation open with my friends, but clearly loud enough everybody in the bus could hear me. And these guys start chiming in. It's like, yo, spinach can be cooked this way. And then I was like, no, you should eat spinach this way. And you got to have a fun conversation that quickly went from spinach and how it should be cooked immediately into like, wow, why are we using big words like bioavailability? How did you come about to say and think words like that? I get to start being like, oh, I say this, I think this, and this is why I think these ways. And why do you know bioavailability? That's not a common word to know. And he says, oh, well, I know these things, and I studied nootropics, and I know this. And the guy, like, it was such a fun time. And that was literally just one conversation, and that's going to be imprinted on me for a very long time, maybe the rest of my life. Obviously, every action that comes into you is going to have an effect, and this is the effect that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. And it makes me very jealous of what could have been. What could have a high school experience, especially this is why I'm saying high school. It could be any experience. It could be going camping with friends and nobody has their phone. That's something I will be able to do, and when you're older, you're able to do. But there's something special about being younger and having not a clue what's going on in the world, but you'd be able to have those conversations with just anybody you interact with. Be able to say, talking out loud, and people start to chime in and pitch in. And being young is where you're bouncing ideas back and forth because you're so confused. You don't know what's going on. Like, I'm so confused. I literally just turned 20, and there's a lot yet to come. But if I don't have people to communicate with, ideas to bounce back and forth, because I feel like an idea is a thing, an entity that exists outside of us, and that's like we have ideas, and you say nobody, literally no clue where that came from, and the idea can then evolve through conversation. Conversation is the catalyst, allowing the idea to evolve to its final form, and it being able to execute or become an ideology or something that could change the way people act. And that's why in high school, I wish the ideas of confusion, fear, and excitement for the future could have evolved through conversations every day, all day, just constantly becoming better, faster, stronger in some way. But that was burned to the ground, to crisp, because of Instagram and apps like that, the phone, the communication, just the inability to be present is not a very fun thing. Yeah. All right, well, that was me just periodically being like, I should make something. I would like to do podcasts or conversations in some way, and I would never do it unless I get started right now. So it's 1 o'clock a.m. in the morning, but like the morning where there's no sun. So hopefully some of you guys like it. I know some people won't like it, but if you are interested by any of this stuff or just like want to talk, drop a comment and we can engage in some like fun discussion because I want some ideas to evolve. I'm gonna start doing this like at least once a week, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, I know I'm gonna get some cool people on. I want to have conversations and stuff. So this is episode 1 of the, I don't know what to call it, but some podcast of some sort. But yeah, thank you and goodbye.